So we have girls and tanks. I'm a happy man. Hey guys, how's it going? So today I'm making a review on Girls in Panzer. But before I get to my review, of course, let me get some information out of the way before I do the review. So Girls in Panzer is a 12 episode anime that aired from October 9th, 2012 to March 15, 2013. And it's animated by Studio X. It also has an OVA series and a movie. Another thing is that Girls in Panzer is English dub. So, the story of Girls in Panzer starts off sort of like this. So, Girls in Panzer takes place in a universe that uses World War I and World War II tanks for sports, warfare, and competitions. Now, this is called Senshado, which literally translates to the way of the tank. Now, these schools have this class, Senshado, that teaches girls how to use tanks, information about tanks, and then schools battle each other with these tanks in a competition that's, I'm assuming, and it is a worldwide event that girls' schools put their tanks to the test, and then whoever comes out on top, wins. So this is where our story takes off with our main protagonist transferring to Ori Girls Academy School. So that is the plot of Girls in Panzer. So let me get to the characters of the show. Now there are a lot of characters in the show, but I'm gonna be focusing on the main characters that really, play a big role in the show. Now our protagonist that transferred to Ori Academy is called Miho Nishizumi. Now Miho transferred to this school to avoid Senshado, but due to circumstances, Ori Girls Academy has to again start up their tankery class. And because of this, the school president asks Miho to join the tankery class. But back to our main protagonist, Miho is introduced, in the first episode, and she's introduced from the show as the new kid. Now Miho, she is a very good main character. I really liked her. This is due to the fact that she not only gets a lot of character development throughout the show, but she is a very genuine person. She's able to point out the goods in people, the good characteristics in people, and this is seen a lot in the very first episode when she meets two of her friends, which I'll get to. But she definitely points out their strong suits in them, and then she applies them in the story. So due to circumstances and events, Miho does end up joining Senshado, the tankery class, and she gets command of a Panzer IV tank and a Panzer IV crew. And the crew are the main characters, I should say. Now, Ori does have, in the beginning of the story, and gets a lot of tanks. And, these tanks do get a crew, and, these are characters. But like I've mentioned, I'm going to be mentioning only the main characters. So the characters that are in the Panzer IV and Miho's friends. So again, like I've said, Miho does end up becoming the commander of the Panzer IV. So let's move on to the next characters and crew women of the Panzer IV tank. So next character is the radio woman, Saori Takabe. Now Saori, she is the first actual person to speak to Miho, and when she does, she ends up surprising Miho. But, right off the bat, they do become really close friends. Now she is introduced, in fact, in the very first episode. So Saori, she's the spunky character in the show. She's always, happy, smiling, talking to people. And for some odd reason, she's always mentioning men. Like, when she becomes friends with Miho, she's always like, if you have problems with your boyfriend or stuff, you can come talk to me. So it's pretty funny. So she's a pretty funny character. Now, next character is the gunner of the Panzer IV. Her name is Hana Izuzu. Now, Hana, she's a very soft character, and she has a very motherly aura. She's very mature, she's very calm, but when she's introduced in the show, she's a very soft character. But she ends up becoming the gunner of the Panzer IV because she wants a bit more action in her life, a bit more boom. The next character is the loader of the Panzer IV. Her name is Yukari Akiyama. Now, Yukari is a very big tank nerd. Like, literally, she knows a lot about tanks. She's kind of like that encyclopedia in the show. She ends up mentioning a lot of fun facts, a lot of, information about tanks in the show. Now, Yukari, she, in the show, she's introduced, I believe, in the second episode, if not, then the third. But She comes off as a very odd person. Like she's the odd person, like out of the group because she's like a big tomboy kind of, but she knows so much about tanks. And she does mention that before she met up with Miho Hana, um, she mentioned that tanks were pretty much her only friends. So we do get a bit of development with her and the group. So I really like that. But she is a very kind character, and she's very she gets really hyped when she sees like tanks and stuff. She gets really hyped when she sees the M4 in action. So she's a character that I liked a lot. Now the final friend of all these girls is the driver of the Panzer IV, Mako Reize. I believe I said that right. Now Mako, she's a very lazy character. She's always tired and slow, and she has a lot of problems getting up in the morning because she has low blood sugar. But she is extremely smart. She's able to learn how to drive a tank in literally a minute. She just like browses through the manual of the tank and then she gets it. Now to the favorite part and most anticipated part that I wanted to share with you guys in my review is the things I liked about Girls in Panzer. Now, first and most important thing and the best thing that I loved about the show is that it's about tanks. Now, I myself am a big tank, fan. I love tanks. Now, funny thing, the reason why I ran across Girls in Panzer is due to the fact that I was playing a tank game. And, they brought in the game, it's called World of Tanks. Now, I was playing this on a mobile phone, so it's World of Tanks Blitz. Now, I was playing it, but then an event came up about a new tank that was going to be appearing in the game, and it was a special tank because it was from a animated TV show called Girls in Panzer. And guess what? It was the Panzer IV of the show, the one that Miko commands and all of her friends are in. And that's why, I caught an interest to the show. Now, in the beginning of Girls in Panzer, we get introduced to, the characters and stuff. But in the very first episode, which I really liked, we get a good view of, the tanks and stuff right in the first episode. Before we get to, Miho and her introduction and stuff, right in the beginning, we get a look at the scene of tanks, of these British tanks moving in, and then the Panzer IV driving and stuff. I really did like the very first episode. But anyways, back to the tanks. Girls in Panzer has a huge variety of tanks, which I just fawned over, They end up showing a lot of big historical important tanks that, pretty much almost everybody knows, The Tiger, the M4, the Matildas, those are in there, those tanks. But there are a huge variety of tanks, which I just loved. Every time a new tank was seen on the screen, it was just amazing. Not only was the Tiger, the Panzer IV were there, the M3 Lee, the M4 Sherman, the Churchill. For the Russians, they had the T-34, the KV-85, the IS-2, the KV-2. They had a huge amount of tanks. They also had, I believe, the Firefly. Yeah, they had the Firefly tank. For the Germans, they had the Tigers, the Panthers, the Tiger 2s. And heck, by the end of the show, they end up even showing a mouse. Literally the biggest tank ever built in World War II. They also end up showing the Stug, the Type 3 Chinook, the J Panther, the JW Panzer, I believe, the Panzer 38T, the Type 87 or 89, I believe, the BIS tank, the French BIS tank. There was a huge variety of tanks. There's probably even some more tanks that I just forgot, but those are the few that I've mentioned. They're there, in the show. So I really liked that and enjoyed about the show that there were a lot of tanks. Now, another thing that I liked about the show was that they really put an emphasis on the team. These girls were always seen together. They would go out to eat together. They would practice in their tank together. So it really did feel like they were friends and that they were a team. And, this is very important in a tank and a tank crew because, you have to depend on each other to do your job. And since these girls are friends, it was very nice to see them work together and able to depend on each other to do their job. Now, another thing that I liked about the show was the animation. The animation of the show was, amazing. You know, I'm pretty sure it wasn't easy to get, you know, the tank movement and the track movement of the tanks, you know, to be animated and seen in the show. But the animation of it was just amazing. It was great. The showing of tanks in the show was great too. You know, they really looked real. And the movement of the tanks while they're driving, you know, they really did make it real so that, you know, it really looked mechanical. You know, a tank, you know, it's kind of bulky, so it can't really like turn like smoothly. It has to stop, turn, and then go. You know, it was really great to see that on the show. Also, the opening and ending songs are very great, the animation too. But I gotta say, I really did like the ending song with the animation to it. You know, they would every episode they would change it. They would put a different tank, and then, you know, it was the song to it. It was good. If, you know, if you don't get it, you know, watch the show. But I really did like the ending song. And I also did like the colors of the show. It was very bright, very colorful, and, you know, the overall look of the show was just great. Now, another thing that I liked about the show was the voice acting of the show. You know, I did watch the first two episodes in English, and it was okay. You know, it was great, but the voice acting and the show itself in Japanese, I gotta say, was amazing. It really did blew my mind away because, you know, it felt so real. Like when they were talking, when they were panicking, when they were happy, when they were sad, it felt real. Like they really did a great job. These voice actors in the Japanese did amazing. Now the reason why, you know, I didn't really like the English was that I think the problem with the English was since the show is very kind of fast paced and they do talk pretty fast. You know, the dialogue between the English and the different people, like there's a small like gap between them, and they just keep talking and talking. But in the Japanese, it felt great. It didn't. I didn't have that problem like I did with the English, where they would like from one person would speak and then another would speak like right away. But in the Japanese, it, you know, it was very fluent. It was great, and, you know, it really did. Each of the voice actors for each of the characters were great. They played their role very well. While in the English, the voice acting, like I'm saying, it was good, but the problem that I had with it, and the major problem I had with it, was that the voice actor for Hana, she didn't feel the same as from the Japanese. Where the Japanese, she was very calm. You know, her voice was very mature. While in the English, she didn't have that effect, and she doesn't give you that effect like in the Japanese. So I really did recommend the show and enjoyed it with subtitles, because just hearing the voice acting and during the actions and stuff, it felt great, and you could hear it. You know, it was good. And that in mind, I really did enjoy the characters, the girls, Miho, Hana, Saori. They were all, you know, great characters. Granted, there were only 12 episodes in the show, but they did get a lot of screen time together. So I really did like that about the show, that they really did emphasize the importance of the characters being together. So I really did like that. But another thing that I loved about the show was the hype. You know, the climax. You know, the to get towards the end of the show. You know, battle after battle. You know, that the girls played in, the girls that they fought, the battles that they fought with together. You know, the hype towards the end was great. Especially the last two episodes was amazing. The animation too of the last two episodes were just great. You know, the explosions of, you know, tanks blowing up, buildings blowing up. The last two episodes, you know, were by far my favorite. They were great. Now, if I could say something I didn't really like about the show, if you could even say that, is that it's only 12 episodes. But granted, I'm not counting against it because, you know, with the 12 episodes it did, it was great. So guys, like I've said, Girls in Panzer is only 12 episodes. So I can't really say too much about the story because, you know, I would get into spoilers. So if I've intrigued some people, I don't want to give too much of the story away. You know, this is a really great story. Not only because it has tanks, which I just enjoy. You know, I myself, you know a lot about tanks, know a lot about history, World War II. I love all that stuff. So I really had a blast watching the show. But if I've intrigued someone, you know, I don't want to give too much away. But I hope that what I've, you know, said and mentioned have, you know, piqued your interest to watching it. But again, guys, overall, I had an amazing time watching this show. And, you know, when I did the unboxing video, I did mention, well, I'm not sure if I did, but I thought, hopefully I don't, regret it. But guys, I am pretty glad and happy that I bought the series Girls in Panzer. I had an amazing time watching it, because I myself, like I've said, I've played a game called World of Tanks, which is about tanks. You battle against other tanks. So it was great to see an anime about tanks, fighting with each other and stuff like that. So overall, guys, because of the fact that this anime is unique, you know I don't know of an anime that is about tanks, like this. And just the happy feel of the anime with the girls and the tanks really do combine and make the show a really great show. So I cannot express this enough. Check it out, guys. This show is just great. So again, overall, I just had a blast watching this show. I might, finish it, watching it dubbed, maybe sometime, but my go-to is definitely English subtitle. So anyway, guys, I give Girls in Panzer a 5 out of 5. This is one amazing anime that I would rewatch like heck. Right before I started recording the review, I watched the first 2 episodes again. So, a 5 out of 5, because this anime is just so unique and so good and so entertaining that I could just sit back and then just enjoy the show. I loved it. I can't express it enough. This is definitely a must-watch anime for anyone that's into history, into tanks, or if it just piques your interest. I definitely recommend this to anyone, and I recommend it being watched English subtitle. The dub is okay, and if you want to, sure, watch it dub, but you won't get the same impact, the same feel as you do when you watch the original, Japanese, with the Japanese voice, with the subtitles. So anyway, guys, I hope you like this review. I tried not to give too much away because, with each episode there is a lot of stuff going on, so I can't say much. But if you like this video, leave a like, and heck, subscribe to my channel. I'm definitely gonna put out more anime reviews. And next, I'm gonna be reviewing the OVA series of Girls in Panzer because I bought it, and I'm going to watch it, and so stick around for that. Anyway, guys, I hope I piqued your interest to this amazing show, which I had a great time watching. Leave a like if you did, and hey, consider subscribing. And if you watched the series, I want to know if you agree with some of the stuff that I've said. Leave your comments below, down in the comments. And anyway, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.